you are the executor of an estate, and now you and your family have decided it is time to go ahead and put your loved one's home on the market for the estate. And now you're just asking yourself, okay, so do we need to clean out the house prior to putting it on the market? That's what we're talking about today. Whether or not you need to clean everything out of the house beforehand really depends. So I'm going to give you a big maybe on this one. Every house is different, every circumstance is different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a list of items of when you should absolutely clean out the home, and then a list of items when you may not have to clean it out right away. So first things first is, what is the condition of the property in the home? Is it damaged? Is it severely dated? Like, is it a 1970s plaid couch? Is it a shag orange rug? Those types of things need to go ahead and be removed from the home. Also, whether or not there's an excessive amount of items. We all have those loved ones that had collectibles, and if those collectibles are going to distract a buyer from seeing the property, they need to go ahead and be cleared out of the home. At the end of this video, I am going to talk about some must-haves, whether they're in good condition or not, so stick with me on that. Yeah, so anything that's broken, excessively dated, damaged, stained, go ahead and remove those items from the home. They don't need to be in the home. And then those, again, if there's a ton of items in the home, they need to be cleared out. So if you're going to walk into a room and you can barely walk through the room or around a bed or into a room that doesn't look like it's supposed to be, in other words, if it was a bedroom that turned into an office, but then it's cluttered with boxes and paperwork and that sort of thing, just go ahead and have that space cleared out. Something else to think about too is, once this home does go under contract, the buyer is going to want to have their inspections done right away. And if an inspector cannot access items for the home, like the attic entrance, the furnace, the hot water heater, those types of places, the electrical panel, make sure that those spaces are cleared. So again, if it's super cluttered, like the garage is packed full, make sure you at least carve out a space for somebody to walk around in that space, because they're going to need to be able to see the walls and the floor and the surfaces of the space. I had this house one time, I walked in, and I'm not kidding you, you could not even see the kitchen counter in the home, because they had every single small appliance you could think of, the toaster oven, their crock pot, the air fryer, like all these pieces, coffee pot, etc., were all, and they didn't have a very big kitchen to begin with, and then they had every single surface covered. And I was like, oh, okay, so now the buyer is going to instantly walk into that house and say, there's no storage, there's no space. And so anything that's going to not allow the buyer to envision themselves living there needs to be cleared out. Okay, so now let's talk about when you might not need to clean the items out of the home right away. So if your loved one's home was impeccably cared for, it was organized, the furniture's in really good condition, and it's in the rooms it's supposed to be in, you could probably go ahead and keep it there, at least for photos. If you don't know for sure, reach out. I am a real estate professional here in the Phoenix metro area, and if you haven't quite talked to a real estate professional yet, you don't have one, let me know. I'm happy to introduce you to one that works in your area. But it's probably a good idea to get them in as well, because they're going to know what buyers are looking for in your market, and whether or not you can leave that room, keep it staged so that a buyer can see how their furniture might work in that space. That's the whole idea. Again, we're thinking about the buyer while we're going through this process. Yeah, so I wrote down here, furniture can help buyers better understand the size and function of a room. So if you have a king size bed in a tiny room and it takes up the entire space, you might want to go ahead and have that room cleared out. Something else to consider is whether or not clearing out the home is going to delay getting the home on the market. What do I mean by that? Two different situations here. One, I had a situation where the family, all the items needed to go. They were all super dated. The furniture was not in good condition. It was a plaid 1970s couch with the huge wooden, the wooden spooled legs. You know what I'm talking about. Again, with that dark furniture, every single item in that home needed to go. And the family just took forever to get everything out of the house. They didn't want to have an estate sale. They didn't want to give everything to charity. So they ended up moving the majority of the stuff over to one of the family members' homes until they could go through everything. But that timeline took months. And by the time that we actually got the house on the market had softened. And it took us longer than we were expecting to get the house sold, and they didn't net as much as they wanted for the property. So that's also something to consider. And if you were planning to have an estate sale, and let's just say the estate sale company is a little delayed, but their items look really nice in the home, we can go ahead and get pictures, get the house on the market, and then we can negotiate with a buyer and say, look, we still have to have an estate sale. Also, something else to consider is if your loved one's home is in a retirement type community, whether it be a 55 plus or any other area where it's prone to having people wanting to buy a second home, they might want to consider, if the furniture is in good condition, selling the furniture along with the property. Technically, it's considered personal property and it needs to be written on a separate bill of sale when you go to sell the house. However, we get a lot of second home buyers here, and then they have to think about furnishing a place. And so they may be wanting to go ahead and keep some of the belongings in the home. So again, these are all conversations you need to be having with your real estate agent to see what makes sense for your loved one's home. So here are the 4 questions you need to ask yourself, and then stick with me because I'm going to talk about the items that absolutely have to be removed from the home. Number 1, can the buyer easily walk through the home? Clearly, if the house was a hoarder house, everything has to be removed from the home, because if somebody was a hoarder, we're going to do a video on that. So you should probably go ahead and subscribe, because I'm going to need to talk about that a little bit more in depth. But if they are having trouble accessing closets, opening doors, those types of things, then clear out that space. Can the buyer see the floors, the surfaces, the walls, and the features of the home? We touched on that earlier with the people who had stuff all over their kitchen counters. Again, you're making this home ready for a new buyer. And does the furniture help the home show better, or does it create a distraction? I forgot to tell you a little story about this. I had some clients that had traveled all over the world, and this was not an air situation. This was their personal home. They had collectibles from all over the world, and there were a lot of them in the home. It was amazing. I mean, pieces of art from all over the world, but the problem was it was going to be very distracting to the buyers. They thought they were amazing, and I'm like, well, but you're going to be taking them with you. We want these buyers to get into this house. We want them to spend enough time in this home to see themselves living here, and we don't want it was almost like walking into a museum. Like, you're just like, oh my gosh, check this out, check that out. So I actually had to bring a stager into the home and spend a couple hours there tagging all the items that they recommended packing away, because they're going to pack it away anyway. So about 2/3 of the items got packed away and put into storage and then we got pictures, and the house sold like lickety split because a buyer was actually able to spend time seeing themselves living there. So again, that's the objective here. So, and then the last question you want to ask yourself is, will waiting to clean out the house delay the sale? So again, these are all conversations you can have with me or with your real estate professional. And again, if you're having trouble finding one, call me. I'd be happy to make a connection for you. Okay, items that you absolutely 100% need to remove prior to putting the home on the market are going to be any valuables. So any coin collections, anything of value that the family was probably planning to keep anyway, go ahead and get those out before we put it on the market. Firearms, this is a must. It doesn't matter if this was an estate sale or not. the firearms need to be secure. So if you don't have a gun safe for them, go ahead and store them at one of your loved ones' home while this home is on the market. And again, collectibles like jewelry, those types of things, go ahead and remove them. Any of your important documents, so including your listing agreement. Do not sign the listing agreement and then stick it in a drawer in the house that you're trying to sell. Take it with you, any of that important paperwork that you went over. Medications, shockingly, it has happened before where a real estate agent goes this way with a family member that's looking at the house, and another person walks into the kitchen, starts rummaging through the cabinets, trying to find anything and everything. So if there was any medications, especially if they're narcotics, I don't care about the aspirins, the Tylenols, such like that, but if there was any medications, like let's say you had hospice involved and there was morphine or something in the house, go ahead and remove those items from the home. And lastly is going to be anything that's affixed to the home that might be a family heirloom that you want to take. Let's think like a chandelier, for instance. If that chandelier is not going to be sold with the home because somebody's going to be taking it, go ahead and have it removed ahead of time. If you need help finding a handyman or electrician to remove it for you, again, your real estate agent is a great resource to make those connections, because anything that's affixed to the property needs to be sold with the property. This would be curtain rods, curtains, shutters, like those behind me. Anything, again, affixed to the wall has to stay with the house. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got for you. Just ask yourself those 4 questions. And by all means, next week we're going to be talking about, what am I going to talk about next week? I was having a serious brain fart, but now I remember. Sorry about that. Next week, we're actually going to be talking about whether or not you should fix up a home or sell it as is prior to going on market. So you should probably go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you hit that little bell so you get told when that video drops next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you have any questions about how to go about clearing out your loved one's home, I did do a video on that. I will go ahead and put that in the comments as well. And then again, if you just need any help whatsoever, feel free to reach out. I'm here as a resource for you to help your job as an executor go just a little bit more smoothly. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.